of those black things?
Yeah. Wow.
Hi, I'm Julia Hademeyer, and I'm here today with my grandpa, Robert Pope, on his 80th birthday. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see all of you. There are kids all around the house.
My grandpa is a member of the Pope family, which is one of the most influential American families in the culinary arts in the 20th century. He's also one of the authors, along with his parents, of the new Francois and Antoinette Pope Cookbook. So I'm here today to talk to my grandpa about his amazing life in cooking. So your parents ran the Antoinette Pope School of Fancy Cookery.
Right. My mother started the school in 1930. I was a year old, and of course, a year old, I wasn't doing much walking around.
Right.
But I was there and crying in the background, and she was teaching people how to cook.
Oh my gosh! So
in her dining room, a very, very small apartment.
So it kind of started in your house and expanded.
Yes,
from there.
started in the dining room.
Wow. So how old were you when you first started helping your parents out in the kitchen?
How big was I?
How old were
Oh,
you?
5, 6.
Wow.
I knew something was happening.
Huh. And you have, I'm sure your earliest memories involve cooking and
eating.
And eating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was never as slender as David, my son. Or my son, in fact, none of the sons was I as slender as, but I was always just slightly, had a few pounds on me.
Well, surrounded by delicious food.
Well, that's a good excuse, but I ate it.
Right. So, what's one of your first memories of your parents cooking, or something specific you remember them making?
Nothing, because my mother cooked all the time.
Huh.
Yeah, and my dad once in a while. My mother taught my dad the finer points of cooking and teaching.
Wow.
And then eventually they separated as far as being in the one business to 2 different cooking schools.
Okay.
One in the southeast and one in the southwest side of Chicago.
Wow. So, I understand you were 14 when you first started teaching.
Yes.
Actually, at the school. So, can you tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about
well, I
that?
had a private lesson. The first thing I really had was a private lesson in cake decorating to someone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, what got you interested in cake decorating?
Because it was difficult to do.
Oh.
Yeah, I used to see both of the parents do it, and I said, "Wow, that's impossible." But, once you start, it's not, of course.
So, what sort of students would like to learn about cake decorating?
Oh, every kind you can imagine. My first one happened to be a smart aleck woman that looked at me, and I was quite young. I think I was 14 or 15. And she said, "Are you going to teach me, or am I going to teach you?" I said, "Oh Lord, what did you do to me?"
Maybe.
I said, "No," I said, "I'm going to teach you." So I gave her the pastry bag and told her to take it and hold it like this. So she took the pastry bag and she put it in her left hand. I said, "No, in your right hand." She said, "I'm left-handed." And that really hit me right between the eyes.
So it's a big difference. Then.
Yeah, oh, big difference. Yeah, everything is turned around.
Oh, my goodness. Huh.
So I learned how to cake decorate with the left hand.
Wow, it's fascinating. It must have been very difficult.
It was,
Yes.
for both of us.
How long did that take to learn?
Well, she liked it. She really was happy with it because she didn't know anything. So anything I could teach her was an improvement on what she had knowledge in her head.
Right. Wow. Well, so you had a live TV show called
Yes.
Creative Cooking that ran for 12 years. In the 50s and 60s, 5 days a week for
Yes.
an hour. What was it like being one of the first cooking shows on
Well,
television?
besides the 5 days a week, we had a show on Friday night opposite the fight. Fights were real big in Chicago.
Okay.
And we had a cooking show for 13 weeks on Friday night at what was called the Garrick Theater. And we had a pretty big following. Not the husbands. If they had 2 television sets, the husband is at one and the other one is the wife at the other one. But we dressed in tuxedos.
Wow. Just for those Friday night shows?
Yeah, and the other ones we dressed in a jacket, a sport jacket, and a tie, always a tie.
So, what were the most popular recipes that you cooked on the show? Or?
There's so many. One is the one that we're going to do, just a real quick one today, is the Caesar salad.
Okay.
That was already always good because it was something you could do in front of people and you could make a show out of it.
So, we're going to see a little bit of that in a minute. So, are there any memorable or stressful incidents from the TV show, having a live audience there?
Yes, there are always two of us on the show, either my dad and myself, or my dad and my brother. And the one time when I was making a souffle, we had a camera that shot up into a mirror, and the mirror looked down. And I pulled the casserole out of the oven to show the people. They saw it, but not that well, which I shouldn't have done. My dad is shaking his head. So as I did it, it spilled. And you saw the smoke coming out of the oven, and I didn't know what to do. I just froze. And here comes my dad. Take this and move it over here. And then he said, someone was cooking in this kitchen last night. He blamed it not on me, which I thought was quite heroic of him.
Oh, that's nice. But it turned out okay?
It turned out beautifully.
Okay. Yeah. Were there any celebrities that would come to the show? Or?
Oh, we had lots of them. Yeah, we really did. One, we had the giant that was in the movie, David and Goliath, I think it was. And David took his sling and slew him by hitting him in the head with a rock. Well, he came on the show one time, and I was making bread. And he said, what are you doing? I looked around, there's no one there. And I looked up, and here's this fellow, 7.5 feet. I said, I'm making bread. He said, what kind of bread is that? I said, whole wheat bread. No, it's not. Whole wheat bread is dark. The Europeans, they know nothing but dark bread. So we had quite a conversation. Yeah, we had a couple of movie stars. Jack LaLanne, the man who was real popular with exercising at the time.
Okay.
He used to come on. Phyllis Diller came on.
Wow.
Jeffrey Hunter. Several people that were noted at that time.
Okay. Wow. So, I know your family, the Popes, were called the candy experts of the 50s and 60s.
Yes.
And I actually have memories when you and I used to make gumdrop roses.
Yes,
And when I was
that's
very
right.
young.
That's
yeah.
right.
And we actually have the candy cookbook here.
That was very popular.
This was very popular.
Yeah, at that time, we got a lot of press on it because no one had a book that was down to earth. They're all like manuals, like you go into school, that were very, very involved. Whereas ours was fairly simple.
So what were some of the most famous Pope candies that you were known for?
The biggest one was what we called marshmallow fluff.
Okay.
And we copied a candy store called Fannie Mae's. Fannie Mae's happened to be friends of ours, and they sent a lot of their people that worked for them to our candy classes to learn the art of candy making. Not that they couldn't teach them. And then we did our marshmallow fluff, where we made our own marshmallow, like the little round things that you eat. Well, we made marshmallow in a big pan, then cut it up, and then we took chocolate and what's called cocoa butter, mixed them all up together and poured them in a pan and cut them up, and they were absolutely delightful.
Well, it sounds delicious.
Just melted in your mouth.
So were you guys a pioneer in any particular type of candy technique, or?
No, I don't think so. There were always others out there, but they were the ones that were the textbooks people.
Oh, okay.
Not like what we did. Ours was down to earth, was for the homemaker, the man or woman.
Right, which I guess you don't see so much these days anymore, but there's such a large candy market.
Right.
So I'm just curious if you could see any of this,
Yeah. And
this material.
if you went through the book, you would see that there were some very fine candies in there. Not candy bar type things.
Mm-hmm. Wow, more truffles.
Yes, truffles. Or mince. We made our own mince. You have to cook it to a certain degree, and then you pull it, and you pull it. and then you lay it down on your marble or your table, and you take a pair of scissors. You cut these little pillow mints, and that's how you make them.
Wow.
They were very popular.
So we're going to make the Caesar salad recipe from the Pope School Cookbook. And I know my mom and my family, we've been using this cookbook for my entire life, and this cookbook's actually sold more than 1 million copies. So there's also, I'm surrounded by a bunch of books here. And you can see we have here's a cook's editions. Quiz. Yeah, different editions of them.
That was pretty popular.
So what was the process like of compiling this enormous?
Very arduous.
Huh.
Yeah. And my mother really did all of it. In fact, the last one that we all worked on a lot was the one that you're holding. And her favorite of everything she ever did was hors d'oeuvres.
Oh, okay.
And she had a tremendous section on hors d'oeuvres. And when we were ready to get the book from the publisher, Macmillan, they called and said, "We don't know how to say this to you." We said, "What?" "Well, the editor, the one that goes through the book and the recipes, laid everything out on the floor of her office. And then the cleaning people came in, they swept it all up and threw it all away.
Oh my
all the
gosh.
Original copies.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you had to redo everything?
We had to redo everything, and I was at a print shop for when Xeroxes sort of just came out. It was very difficult.
Wow. It's kind of like these days your computer will crash.
Yeah.
And you'll lose everything.
Right.
So wow,
Yeah.
it's not a...
But this, it went down to, who knows, the furnace.
So what was your mother's favorite recipe in the cookbook?
Hors d'oeuvres.
All.
She loved hors d'oeuvres. Yeah, that was really a specialty of hers.
Wow. And how about your favorite recipe?
Of course, spaghetti and meatballs. We had Swift and Company that was a very large sponsor of ours. And my mother used to say, "Don't ever tell anyone that you like spaghetti and meatballs." I said, "Why?" I was very young. She said, "Because Swift is a sponsor of ours." "What would you do if Mr. Swift came and asked you that?" "I'd tell him spaghetti and meatballs." He said, "No, tell him something more exotic." I said, "Well, you know, it's got ground beef in it." You know, as a little punk kid, you know, you say those smart aleck things to your parents.
Right. Well, and maybe it's your Italian blood, because you love opera and
Yes.
spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah.
So. So, is this cookbook still for sale?
No, it's not. It's out of print.
Oh.
It has been for 10 years now.
Wow. And there's no thought of reissuing it?
No, I've had
updating
people
it?
that want me to make a new one.
Uh-huh.
And my wife Jan said that she would do all the preliminary and she would retype and correct all of the recipes, and I said, "Oh, that's wonderful," but no.
No, it's a masterpiece as it stands, I'm sure. So why did you choose to make this Caesar salad that we're going to make?
Well, it was very popular on the television show. Whenever we had Caesar salad, we'd always get many, many letters. And when I say many, it'd be in the hundreds. Those people that said that they saw it and they made it and they did it the way we said, do it in front of your company when they're sitting down or having a cocktail or, you know, just in a lax moment, and you come up and you make the Caesar salad. And it's very dramatic.
Which we're about to see. And I was reading the recipe, and it seems like it was invented around the time of the show, the Caesar salad?
Yes, well, before. It was in the 30s.
Oh, so
And my dad happened to know, not personally, but he knew him. You know, they knew each other. The man that developed it, a man named Cesar, a Mexican man.
Huh.
Not Caesar, Cesar.
Cesar. So
Yeah.
we should call it Caesar salad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and he did, when he developed it and we did it at the school, he tried to keep it as authentic as possible.
Wow. And it's fascinating because you can't go anywhere these days without being able to order one.
Right.
So, wow.
Of some version of it.
Right.
Yes.
Wow, fascinating. So we'll start, I guess,
Okay.
making this
Gotta give me a couple
delicious
minutes.
salad. Yeah, we need to set up the kitchen. So.
I'll get everything ready.
Yeah, great.
All right, good.
Okay, good to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
So
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Do this.
Okay, now it says recording.
Okay.
Oops.
Hi, I'm Julia Ademeyer. This is my grandpa Robert Pope, and we're about to make a Caesar salad.
Howdy. I'm going to start with a couple of basics. The first basic, is a head of romaine lettuce. Cut part of the stem off, and as you open it, you can see, well, this happens to be clean. You can see that it's dirty, and it's not dirty at all. But anyway, you wash these real good under cold running water. If they're extremely dirty, I put some salt in the water, in a bowl, and I just squish them up and down, and then take that water, pour it out, and put fresh water. And then take those, and you do just what David did for me here. He got them all ready and left them in the colander so they've drained completely. So we have completely dry romaine. Now the next thing is we're going to take some garlic. And I'm going to cut, oh, I'm sorry, here it is. I'm going to take a steak meat tenderizer, thanks David, and just hit it a couple of times. Or you can take it like that, or take a fry pan. Don't take one of your good pans that cost you $82 and hit it and the handle falls off. And now you can come up and take it and take off the top and take off the bottom, and you've got a nice clean piece of garlic. So we'll take this and just put it in a bowl for a moment. And what else did we have to have? Let me just think for a second. We got our lemons already. That's it. Can you start reading?
Oh yeah. So, croutons. Should we?
Okay, croutons.
The croutons.
Croutons. Loaf of French bread. The skinny bread. I almost stabbed you. That was close.
I got out of the way.
And cut the croutons about 1/4 of an inch, 1/3 of an inch. And then you can take them and, depending on what you like, cut them in half one more time, or cut them again into quarters. But a lot of places will make croutons and make them this large. And then they take them and they put this in a little bit of garlic with some butter, and they toast them back and forth in a pan. Or put them on a baking sheet, like a cookie sheet, and drizzle some butter over it and just bake them until they get nice and crunchy. Those are the croutons.
All right.
Next.
Coddled egg.
Okay, coddled egg. And all you people know what a coddled egg is. It's an egg that the mother was very careful with the children. A coddled egg you put in boiling water for a minute, or in just hot water for 5 minutes. I like the pan idea. Just get the water boiling, drop the egg in, and let it stand for 1 minute, pull it out, and just put it on the side. Now the real original Caesar salad had the raw egg in, and it still is raw, it's not cooked at all. And we used to do it all the time when we demoed this or did it on the show. It was such a big hit. People loved it. And you have to do like you see the guys in the restaurant or the women in the restaurant. Crack it and just pour it on. And the egg white is not viscous anymore. It's already softened. And then you finish the recipe off with that. Next.
Wow. All right. So, place in a large wooden sound bowl 2 medium-sized cloves of garlic.
Okay.
Crushed with fork until bowl is well flavored with garlic.
2 ways to do it. First, to find my knife. Take this and cut it up in some pieces. Put it in your bowl, and then take a fork. And normally we use a wooden bowl, but we wanted to use this so you'd be able to see better with it. And we take it and we crush it. And how much salt does it say then?
1 teaspoon.
1 teaspoon of salt is put in there with it. And then we take it and go all the way around the bowl. Okay? And then take it and throw it away. All you're doing is flavoring the bowl. And that's one way. The other way, that's the quickest way, is take a garlic press And Judy, this garlic press is older than your mother. I know your mother's not young, but she's not quite that old, but she's older than she is. And I'm only using half a clove of garlic and crushing it. That's the easy way to do it. Now, of course, if you're showing this off to people that are over for dinner, you do the whole thing. But we're just going to do it the easy way today. And then take, how much salt was it on the right side?
On the right side, half teaspoon?
Half a teaspoon. And I'm just going to take, and this, if you have a grinder, use it. It's very impressive. You know, and you have to know how many grinds. You practice this on a piece of wax paper. And then you take it and you pour it off, and you say, okay, that's a half a teaspoon. Huh. Normally, what I do it is 25 turns. And of course, I go off town already, so it doesn't matter. But in this salad, we do not over-season it as far as salt. Okay, next menu.
This takes about 2 minutes. Discard garlic and salt. Or garlic and salt may be left in bowl.
But see, that's too much salt, a teaspoon and a half.
Okay. So yeah, in this case, omit the half teaspoon of salt.
Right.
Add olive oil and beat with fork until thick.
Olive oil? It has to be olive oil. Otherwise, it's not Italian or Mexican. And just take it with the fork. And beat it like you have a wire whip in your hand, but you don't. And what's next, honey?
Then add wine vinegar and lemon juice, and beat well until thoroughly blended with oil. And
this has gotten, you may be able to see it, it's a little cloudy compared to what it was. It's no longer clear, because we've emulsified it.
And this is 6 tablespoons of olive oil,
Thank
just
you.
so you know.
And what was next?
And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of wine vinegar.
That's that red vinegar.
And 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice.
And this is another one of those things that you do, it's all show. And this is why when we go out in a demonstration and cook in front of 100, 200, 500 people, we do the whole thing for show. I once had a group of wives of doctors, and they rented the Palmer House, the main ballroom, and they wanted me to come there and teach the wives how to make Caesar salad, plus several other things. And this is what they oohed and ah over. And they said, oh, my husband's gonna love it. And how much lemon?
1 tablespoon.
You have to practice this. Take a fork, stick it in there, and just twist it, and then squeeze it out. Now you get a couple seeds in, but that's all right. That's half the glamour of it. Now Jan made a dessert last night for dinner, and she used a lemon rind. So I'm using up the lemon she has left. Yeah, 3/4. Okay. Next.
We're going to add half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce.
And a half teaspoon, of course, you measure that properly. And you could have your set of measuring spoons there and take them out and go through all of it, but then people say, he doesn't know what he's doing. Where did he do this? And he's, oh my goodness, he's got a half a teaspoon. You know, it's a show. And next.
We're going to add 1 teaspoon of dry mustard.
And this is dry mustard that comes in a jar or a can, not the one that you squeeze out from your refrigerator. Okay.
And a half teaspoon of salt. Oh, we already added the
We
salt.
already had
added the salt. Okay. 1 teaspoon of black pepper.
And this is the ground black pepper. I just didn't want you to have to stand there and look and say, when is he going to get to a teaspoon? Because all pepper mills are different. My pepper mill happened to be a jar that I opened up and poured it in. Next.
And now it says 4 fillets of anchovies cut up in small pieces.
Okay.
We're-
Now, if you're a real, what's the word I want?
Purist.
Who?
Purist?
Purist. Purist?
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
a purist, you buy real anchovy paste. You buy real anchovies. And preferably one that are open. And you take those and you put them in here. You got your fork already. And then I put 4 inches in. I already squeezed out 2 inches by holding that too tight. There's another 2. And I do prefer the anchovy paste. First of all, it holds up. The anchovies can sit in the refrigerator for who knows how long before you decide to use them. Whereas this holds for months and months. Next.
Parmesan cheese, 1 tablespoon.
Okay. 2 ways to do Parmesan. Right now or later. And while I'm tossing this, excuse me, I'll tell you a good story about Parmesan.